Hello everybody and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude, where I do trailer reactions, I react to YouTube videos, I review YouTube channels, occasionally I'll review a movie, but really, I just do whatever the hell I want. Hello everybody and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude down in the basement. Today we got another channel. Another review. I like this channel. It's called Chod Munch, and this is Despicable Liars. They have some pretty good stuff on here. They have a lot of cult stuff, like cults that are ripping people off and different things like that, and psychic fails, things like that. But this is Despicable Liars. Let's check this out.
Last year, Kate McClure's seemingly heartwarming story went viral. She said she was stranded on the outskirts of Philadelphia when homeless veteran Johnny Bobbitt Jr. spent his last $20 to buy her gas.
I was driving down 95 and ran out of gas, so I pulled over to the side of the road.
You know, she needed the help. She took the help.
With the title Paying It Forward, the GoFundMe page, coordinated by McClure and her then boyfriend Mark D'Amico, raised more than $400,000.
It's like winning the lottery.
But the ruse unraveled in a shocking twist.
The entire campaign was predicated on a lie.
Authorities say it was all a coordinated scam from the start. The cover photo on the page, staged. They say all three were in on the elaborate hoax.
D'Amico, McClure, and Bobbitt conspired to pass off a fake, feel-good story that would compel donors to contribute to their cause.
See a lot of that stuff right here on YouTube with the helping homeless people videos and stuff like that. I'll bet you 90% of them are staged.
McClure and Bobbitt both pled guilty in federal court. D'Amico has pleaded not guilty. Colorado mom Kelly Renee Turner's bucket list for her terminally ill daughter went viral in 2017. Her story even made its way to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. 7-year-old Olivia Gaunt died from what her mother claimed was a rare disease.
And we don't know how much longer she has.
But authorities now say it was all a lie.
The first child dies, the mother then induces illness on yet another child so she can continue this fraud, continue getting attention.
Turner was indicted on 2 counts of murder and 11 other charges, including receiving fraudulent Medicaid payments of more than $500,000 and theft associated with a GoFundMe account.
So basically she was making the child sick so that people would feel bad for her, and she ended up killing her.
Several years later, it was told to me that the cells had developed into cancer. And so we had to do more procedures and treatment that time. And at that time, I did lose my hair, and it was a very scary, emotional time in my life.
You said you lost your hair, but you didn't. You shaved your head.
In the beginning, I shaved my head to where my hair was very short, yes.
You put our producer on the phone with a nurse, Sharon Hodges.
Yes.
She treated you?
Well, she was one of the nurses there.
She told the producer that you went through cancer treatments, several months of chemo in 2012. Because when you called Sharon Hodges on your cell phone, the name Jenny came up in the screen.
No, well, yeah, because I know Sharon.
But you have Sharon in your cell phone under Jenny?
No. I called Jenny's phone. I said, is this Sharon? She said, no, she said, this is Jenny, Carrie. I was like, oh, I need to talk to Sharon.
Why would Sharon be with Jenny?
Because we were all friends. Does that not make sense?
Not at all.
Okay.
We called back to that hospital and asked for Sharon Hodges.
Okay.
And they said there's no Sharon Hodges that works there. When you put our producer on the phone this morning speaking to Sharon Hodges, they were actually speaking to Jenny.
No, that still wasn't Jenny.
Who was it?
Her name is Sharon.
What was she doing at Jenny's house?
They are neighbors now. I know it seems so coincidental.
She said she had just months to live.
That's she's so caught. You can tell she's trying to get out of it.
Wasn't there any other way to get his attention besides tell him you're dying of cancer?
I'm the mother of his children, and he wouldn't call me.
Jessica showed him a letter from a doctor. It said she was dying.
Did the ruse work? Did he come back?
He insisted that I moved in right away.
So it worked, the lie.
She cut off her hair and wore a wig at her wedding to make it look like she'd had chemotherapy. And get this.
Did you pretend to go to cancer treatment?
Maybe, like 3 or 4 times at max?
Yeah.
She would have her mother drop her off at the doctor's office.
What would you go do?
Nothing. Just sit there.
When people began donating things for the wedding, Mike was touched and called the newspaper, suggesting they do a story about the community's generosity.
He goes, hey, guess what? There's going to be an article about our wedding. And I was like, to myself, my inner monologue, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot get out of this.
The article prompted even more donations.
You got a free wedding dress. You got free rings.
Those are all.
You got a free honeymoon. You got free airfare to Aruba for the honeymoon.
Well, it wasn't free.
Flowers, hair and makeup for you, and 7 bridal attendants.
But even as she sobbed her vows, Jessica was still lying.
As I become your wife, I want you to know the day I'm no longer physically here, I will always kiss you goodnight.
Even during this lovely wedding, you're still lying.
During the vows, yeah, because that was part of, we decided to write personal vows, and I had to mention that.
Called the doctor and gave them her name and her social security. And they asked for the letter, so I scanned it and emailed it. And they said, what is this? And I said, oh boy.
The good news? His new bride wasn't dying of cancer. The bad news? She never had been. The whole thing was a hoax.
So what do you feel at that point? Anger?
I was enraged.
Once he knew his wife would live, Mike dumped her and made another call to the newspaper. The public punishment began immediately.
Turns out she's perfectly healthy.
Doesn't look like he dumped her for long, though. Go back a little bit.
The public punishment began immediately.
Turns out she's perfectly healthy, and now she's been indicted for duping the community.
Tabloids, television, and internet scorning her as a shameful sicko, a gold-digging bridezilla. Jessica traded her white dress for an orange jumpsuit when she was arrested and spent 50 days in jail. But things are looking up for her now. Her husband Mike has taken her back.
I tried to hate her. It was an act.
You can't help who you love.
So how many of those people we see at your wedding dancing and drinking and celebrating, how many of those people do you still speak to?
None.
This woman was being tried for a DUI.
You start a lie, and then it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, and you can't keep it up forever.
In court. As it went along, it was discovered that the information provided by the cop who
arrested.
How many of those people do you still speak to?
None.
This woman was being tried for a DUI in court. As it went along, it was discovered that the information provided by the cop who arrested her was questionable.
I don't know what was going on. All I know I was crying.
The officer said he didn't ask her to do a breathalyzer test because no one from the sheriff's office was available to do it. Even so, he indicated she had an unlawful blood or breath alcohol level, which automatically suspended her license for 6 months.
The evidence showed there are breath test operators always available to give a breath test, and that this officer said that there is not, which is not true.
But you did not know what her blood or breath alcohol was at all, did you?
That's correct.
Were you drunk?
Oh no, excuse me, I'm sorry.
The jury found her guilty, but Seminole County Judge Fred Schott threw out the verdict and went on a tirade accusing the officer of lying and even of maybe breaking the law.
The DMV is in charge of suspending licenses.
Yeah, when officers lie to them.
Correct, Your Honor, and that's why patrons...
Then I want you taking him up on perjury.
Your Honor.
Will you take him up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he
not
lied.
a mistake.
He lied on a sworn
Absolutely
citation.
not, Your Honor, and that is not true.
I'm dismissing.
The state's position.
I'm dismissing.
You cannot summarily dismiss, Your Honor, without a motion for us to be able to respond to.
No, I'm dismissing the charge. Take it up on appeal with him lying about it. Case should have never been built. Never.
Young Jasmine shot.
He's an awesome judge. I like him. And she's got guts to sit there and argue with him like that.
About it. Case should have never been built. Never.
Young Jasmine shot dead in a drive-by shooting that hooked the nation, mainly because of a description of the gunman as given the day of the shooting by Jasmine's mother and her sisters.
Those sisters again said that's exactly what the shooter looked like.
But we now know this wasn't a hate crime, at least racial prejudice wasn't the driver, as investigators arrested and charged 2 black men in connection with Jasmine's killing. The man in the sketch, the Harris County Sheriff's Office now believes, is a witness who was driving this red truck, speeding in an attempt to flee. So how'd this happen? What led LaPortia Washington to believe that they were shot because they're black?
So who did it?
And let me touch on that. When we went to the hospital, that wasn't crossing her mind.
Buffin says once word about the shooting became news, it went viral. From there, activists swarmed her family, listening to LaPortia and her daughter's description of a white gunman, telling them this was likely a hate crime.
We trust me. We tried. We was in distress. We apologize. We apologize.
Despite the arrests of 2 men identified as suspects, Cantrell says as recent as today, there have been threatening comments on her Facebook page because of a link drawn between her uncle, Robert Cantrell, and the sketch the Harris County Sheriff's Office released last Thursday. Activist Sean King, with 1 million followers, spread it even farther. Haley, who fears for her uncle and her family's safety, wants this to spread too. He is innocent of this terrible crime.
Man wrongly accused of killing a 7-year-old Jasmine Barnes found dead in a jail cell.
Whoa. So he killed himself? That's terrible. Well, that was Despicable Liars. All right, now it's time for Deep Thoughts from Gene's Reviews. Why do they report power outages on TV? Thank you, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, #MeanGene, all that fun stuff. And if you like this video, tell all your friends, leave a comment down below. And if you didn't like it, then just shut up. And I will see you next time.